Hello everyone, welcome to a new episode of our third-person shooter. In this episode, we will add some rotation to our camera, because if you look at if we're rotating right now, you can still see the crosshair going off the screen, and we are not really following it. And to give our player a little more dramatic effect. To add a little more dramatic effect, we're gonna follow the rotation, and we will also clamp the amount of the angles which we allow the player to look up and look down. Yeah? Okay. To do so, we let's open up our camera script. Right now we are looking for the cam look target, and we are making a target position out of that transform and also the rotation. But what we can do, we can easily change the rotation to our pivot here, because the pivot changes when we change the rotation. If you look at the to show you here, if you look at the transform, I got it selected right now. You can see it here. Now you can see the blue arrow is pointing and rotating when we change our angle. So what we're going to do, we're going to change the camera look target to the aim pivot. So if you have made your own values here, copy these over and paste them in the aim pivot. So you got a different position for it, and then just delete the camera look target, as we don't need it anymore, because we're going to use the aim pivot. So in our third-person camera, change the look target to the aim pivot and mark the capital U's. It has to be exactly the same. So with that said, we can now get this out of the way. I simply say here that we're going to use the camera look target rotation here. Right now we're going to use a variable because we might use a lerp here, because we could also put it right in here. Probably that's even better to do. So let's do it like this, because we already lerp here. Okay. So now we probably already fixed the rotating part. Yeah, you can see it here. You can see it here. Now we can rotate along, and now you can immediately see the problem we are having with our crosshair. We need to clamp the angles, because we can overdo it here. See? So to get that fixed, let's open up our player aim, and right now we already use this very handy and short method to make good angles from our transforms forward on the when we check the Euler angles here. So what we can do, we just simply clamp the angle to something we prefer. So let's first get a float current angle. And this equals to our transform, or maybe let's call this a new angle. So first we're going to check the new angle, and this will be our check angle, and then it will check the new angle here and will give us a new angle. Then we're going to clamp the angle, so we say clamped angle. And this is, we're going to use the math F here with clamp, which takes in 3 variables. The first is the value we are checking here, and then we say the minimum and the maximum value. So let's say minus 45 to 45 degrees, and then we say here clamped angle. Yeah. So let's see what happens if we run this. Yeah, it stops moving here, but I think it's a little bit too much. So I'm gonna reduce it maybe even make two fields for it, for our public, no, not public, float min angle, and a serialized field for our float max angle. And then we say here min angle, max angle. It would even better maybe to max angle. We could make a method out of this if we want, by pressing Ctrl R, Ctrl M, then hit enter. Maybe we need to apply the name first, so we could say get the clamped angle. And then change it like this. So let's switch back to Unity now and change the values here to, let's say, -20 and 20. Later we will probably move the settings to our player script, and we're going to make a custom editor, custom inspector for it. But we're going to do that probably later on. So let's see what happens now if we run this. We got a good, yeah, this is pretty much the way we want. Now you can see it's still very fast, so let's look at the sensitivity here. We set for the and the damping. Let's see what happens if we are already doing something with it. So the damping seems to work. Yeah, so just fiddle around what you, I mean, I'm at 12 now. It feels a little bit too unresponsive, so it feels a little bit weird. Maybe lower the sensitivity a bit more. Yeah, well, fiddle around with it until you got something you're happy with. I think I'm gonna keep it like this. 7.2 seems to be working for now. Okay, so 7 and 2. Another wise way to maybe add in the scriptable objects here, but I'm gonna keep it like this for now. Let's see, so we got it at 7.2. What else do we need now? Maybe one more thing I would like to change for my own is the camera here, because I don't really like the camera the way it's positioned. So I'm gonna fiddle around with the camera a little bit here. There we go. Let's look up the camera. Let's change these values here until we got something. Maybe make it a little bit bigger. So we got something which, maybe this is too low. Maybe a little bit less to the side. Yeah, this looks better. And when we crouch, seems to be okay. And now let's lower the. So we're a little bit closer. Maybe even less. So you can create a better over-the-shoulder weapon. But if we are running and we are aiming, it's too high. So lowering it down a little bit. This is a little bit too low. Still have a weird offset. You can see here. It for my player, it looks like I'm aiming straight, but I'm actually aiming up. So we can change that as well by lowering our crosshair. But first, let's copy over my values. I'm happy with it. Paste them in as new values. And let's take a look at the crosshair, because we are aiming at the crosshair. Maybe one thing to note, if you look at the crosshair, we are raising it at 1 meter above the ground, and 100, we are getting its position at 100 meters in front of it. So that basically means if we are going to shoot, it won't be exactly in the center of the crosshair. As you can see right here, it's shooting in the bottom left. But when I reach around 100 meters, it should be I'm not sure, I'm about 100 meters, it should be exactly center in my crosshair. Now, this is because we are shooting from the muzzle of the weapon towards the center of the screen, more or less. But that's not from the center of the camera where we are looking. So we could fake the shot by instantiating the bullet from the center of the screen towards the center of the screen in the back. So then we are always dead on. But for now, I'm gonna keep it like this to make some sort of a convergence setting later on, maybe, where you can change your convergence between weapons. So if I would go to the shotgun, for instance, it would be will have its convergence set right at this, maybe a few meters or so. I mean, if I'm gonna set it at 10 meters right now, you can see it will be up in the upper right now. But once I get about 10 meters, it's exactly in the middle. Yeah, so that's one thing you have to note. Yeah, well, I could go on rambling a little bit more, but I won't. I'm gonna keep it like this. I think we have the crosshair now the way we want. I can look up and down. No, I'm sorry. I was so rambling. I was forgetting what I was trying to say. I'm gonna lower it here. That's probably because we have raised the aim pivot to 1.3, and it was at 0. So probably it's going to be minus 0.3 then. Still too much. Let's see if we lower it even more. Now the crosshair is too low. So again, until you got the way you want it. And because we are always aiming at the crosshair, we're getting a reference of the crosshair, we don't have to change anything at all. We can just simply move the crosshair around. I think this is pretty much there where I want it. Okay, so minus 2.09, copy it over, paste it. At 100, I'm gonna say maybe 50. Okay, that's it for now. I will prepare the next video. It will be around a few days before it's out, and we're gonna work on in a trigger system or event trigger system, where we can make events occur and trigger these events in a more efficient way. Okay, thank you very much for your time, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.